All right, everybody, welcome back to part 4 of our series. This is Intro to 3ds Max 2019, and in this video we are finally going to start making some changes to this simple box. Now that our mesh is all warmed up and ready to go, meaning when you have it selected, it has the editable poly modifier already applied to it and collapsed, and we got a bunch of stuff that we can do to it down here. We have no idea what any of this does. That's okay. If this is lost on you, this whole section is missing, make sure that you go back and review parts 1 through 3 of the series where I walk you through how to set all of that up. Okay, now with that being said, 3D modeling is nothing but a series of decisions, tiny problems that we are solving along the way. And if you're not working off of a really solid reference, that means the decisions that you're making, in addition to trying to find the best way to solve it, you're also trying to figure out the look of this concept. Maybe you already got kind of an idea in your head that you're building off of, but chances are you haven't thought everything through, like the construction of this crate. How big are the 2x4s? Is this made of wood or metal? What style is it? All of these things come into play with how you would like your thing to look like. So with that in mind, I went ahead and found this really cute illustration, the Crash Bandicoot simple crate from the Crash Mania wiki online. Now, I did not draw this. I tried to find the artist. I don't know who did it. If anybody else knows who did this illustration, that'd be great. I'd like to give them credit. But I am just using this as a visual to make my cube look like this cube. I am trying to go one-to-one here as best I can with geometry and simple edits. Now, I have multiple monitors at home, so I can just dock this on another monitor off to the side, but not everybody does, or not everybody has that. So I'm going to go ahead and tuck that away, and I'm going to show you a way to pull up a visual so that it doesn't just go away when you start editing your model. If you head on to File, View Image File, and then click the image that you had saved, I had saved it from the internets on my desktop, I click Open, and then 3ds Max is going to create a window that will now just kind of hover over my whole editor. That can be kind of annoying, I suppose. You can minimize it and then, bring it back up if you'd like. But tucking it here is usually fine enough to keep it out of the way. Or you can just pull it up whenever you need it. But I like to have something that I'm looking at the entire time I'm making it, because deep down, I'm really an artist. So next thing I want to do is I want to study my reference. I'm taking a look at how this construction has been done, and that's going to feed into how I make the decisions next on this model. So with that in mind, I'm not going to do anything too dramatic right now. I just want to make some ring selections. I want to select the edges of this box, and I want to connect it with more edge loops around the front, kind of like we did before we made it an editable poly, but I want more control over that. So to do that, I have to first explicitly tell Max what type of selection I'm making. And I can do that with my hotkeys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just keep that in mind, that 1 through 5 are the hotkeys to each type of selection. We've got vertice, edge, border, polygon, and element. And all of them have their own sort of strengths and different things that they do. Now you'll also notice that when I toggle different selections, I have some things grayed out and some things totally usable. Now, I can't ring or loop select a vertice or a polygon, but I certainly can edges. And some of you may know what that means, but for those of you who don't, I'm going to go ahead and go over that right now. So first off, a vertice or vertices or a vertex is the point. Just think of them as the dots that these edges converge onto. If you have floating vertices, meaning there's no edges connected to them, or they're not connected to a polygon, that's bad. We want to delete that data. It's not useful to us and can kind of hurt our performance later. So that is a sign of messy geometry. And it's not really a problem right now, but we'll always be keeping an eye out for it. The edge selection are the lines that connect these edges, or excuse me, these vertices. And basically they're formed at the edge of a polygon, which is the whole face that we see here. Now, border and element are a little different. Than an element is a whole selection of an entire, not object, but an element within the object. And that doesn't mean a whole lot right now, but it will in the future, and I'll show you why in a bit. Now, the border selection is a lot like the edge selection, except it's looking for, and I'll notice that if you try to select anything now, nothing's happening. It's looking for floating edges, or edges that don't have a face connected to at least one side. And so now if I click border, it's going to outline the whole border. And that can actually be really handy for us in the future, but we don't really need that right now, so I'm going to Control Z out of that. And one more time, vertex 1, edge 2, border 3, face or polygon 4, and element 5.